Assalamualaikum. My name is Moazzam Arslan and I am the student of BS Physics. My topic is crystallography, which plays a very important role in the field of chemistry. Crystallography. What is the definition of crystallography? Crystallography is the branch of science that deals with discerning the arrangement and bonding of atoms in crystalline solids with the geometric structure of crystal lattices. Basically crystallography deals with the discerning the arrangement and bonding of atoms in crystalline solids. Discerning is the basically related with the arrangement of the of atoms. Classically, the optical properties of crystals were of value in mineralogy and chemistry for the identification of substances. Basically, this is used for the study of mineralogy, which is the study of minerals, and chemistry for the identification of substances, and for to how to check and how to check the substances for their identification. This technique can be used to check the to recognize recognizing the substances. Then comes the history of crystallography. Crystallography was basically invented by a father and son a team, both called William Bragg, which was a chemist, invented X-ray crystallography in 1912. To tell them apart, their second names are used. The father was William Henry, and the son was William Lawrence. Uh, these are the people. These are the people which invented the crystallography in 1912, and they play a very vital role to make the crystallography technique. Definition: a crystal or crystalline solid is a solid material whose constitutes such as atoms, molecules, or ions. Crystal or crystalline solid is basically composed of atoms, molecules, or ions, and these are the composition of atoms. These are the composition of crystal or crystalline solid. That are arranged in a highly ordered microscopic structure in a very high. These are arranged in a very order and these are arranged in these are arranged in very appropriate order, forming a crystal lattice that extends in all directions, and it has directions in all it has in all directions. The scientific study of crystals and crystal formation is known as crystallography. The scientific study of crystals, the study which deals with the crystals and crystal formation. Basically, crystal formation is the process in which crystals are made, they are produced, is known as crystallography. This is the second definition of crystallography. Then came the importance. X-ray crystallography enables the identification of the atomic and molecular structure of crystals. X-ray crystallography is also crystallography, which tells us the identification of atomic, which help us in the process of recognizing the atomic and molecular structure of a crystal. The X-ray technique provides direct structural information on molecules at the atomic level and is recognized as a reliable structure determination method. Which is reliable means that it is a very appropriate method, is appropriate structure, which which plays a very important role in recognizing. X-ray technique provides the direct structural information. Technique basically provides the direct structural information, which is the direct structural information, means that it is the it is the appropriate information, which is in which there is not mistakes, and it is a very good technique. In total there are six crystal families, which we study in many classes: triclinic, monoclinic, orthohorbic, tetragonal, hexagonal, and cubic. These play a very important role in crystallography. In crystallography, crystal structure is a description of the ordered arrangement of atoms, ions, or molecules in a crystal material. Ordered structures occur from the intrinsic nature of the constituent particles to form symmetric patterns that repeat along the principal direction of three-dimensional space in matter. In crystallography, crystal structure is basically composed of atoms, ions, molecules, which are in a very ordered arrangement, and they are not they are in a good arrangement, ordered arrangement according to the technique. Uh, Ordered structures occur from the intrinsic nature of constitute particles to form symmetric patterns. Symmetric patterns that repeat along the principal directions. The symmetric patterns have three-dimensional space in matter. Basically, symmetric patterns have only one shape, so only one space, which is three-dimensional space in matter. The length of the principal axis or edges of the unit cell and the angles between them are the lattice constants, which is the definition of lattice constant, also called lattice parameters or cell parameters. The symmetry properties of the crystal are described by the concept of space groups. All possible symmetric arrangement of particles in three-dimensional space may be described by 230 space groups, which we study in the topic of crystallography. The crystal structure and symmetry play a critical role in determining many physical properties. Crystal structure, this is the use of crystal structure in the field of crystallography, such as cleavage, electronic band structure, and optical transparency. Electronic band structure. In electronic band structure, we can in electronic band structure is related to the crystal structure and symmetry. Uh, in many play a very critical role in determining many physical properties such as cleavage, and through this technique crystal structure through the crystal structure we can recognize cleavage, electronic band structure, and optical transparency. The law of constancy of interfacial angles, or the law of crystallography, states that this is the law of crystallography states that the angles between the crystal faces of a given species are constant, whatever the literal extension of these faces and the origin of crystal are characteristic of that species. This is the law of crystallography, which is made by a chemist, which states that the angles between the crystal faces of a given species are constant, that the value of angle between the crystal faces are constant, and they can and these val and the angle and the value of angle cannot be changed, whatever the literal extension of these faces and the origin of crystal and the character of these species. These are the factors which are not affected. Protein X-ray crystallography is a technique used to obtain the three-dimensional structure of a particular protein by X-ray diffraction of its crystallized form. This is the this is the use of protein X-ray crystallography, which is used by chemists. Many making crystals creates a lattice in which this technique aligns millions of proteins molecules together to make the data collection more sensitive. This technique makes the data more sensitive. In total, there are 7 crystal systems, which we have studied in the above in the previous slide, which are triclinic, monoclinic, orthohyobic, tetragonal, trigonal, hexagonal, and cubic. Powerful crystal, which is the a crystal which is more powerful, and this is used several times in the field of in the topic of crystal. Powerful crystal, which is quartz is known as the master healing crystal, and many people believe that it's the most powerful crystal because it's so abundantly available, that which is available in very which is easily available, and there is not difficulty in its apply in its availability. How are crystal powerful? According to experts, crystals act as a powerful hold for healing, as they allow positive, fruitful energy to flow into the body and do away with the negative toxic energy. Like other forms of alternative therapy, crystal work by channelizing your energy levels, thereby focus on healing your body from the inside. This is the factors technique through which we can identify, through which we can recognize a crystal which is powerful, and or it is not. Crystals that do not work together. Now we can study the crystals that do not work together, and what are the reasons that why they do not work together. Millichite, because it is a powerful crystal that is also known to amplify all kinds of energy, so it can leave you healing lower in the dubs. This is the use of millichite. Clear quartz, as it is an amplifier. It can be used an amplifier. Colored light blue stones, because these crystals can bring energy down instead of energizing. These crystals can bring energy, and we can and these they can supply energy in many forms. And this is the use of these crystal, and also it is the advantage of these crystals in the field of crystallography. Then came the history about the crystallography and also the information. The Danish scientist, which was Nicholas Steno in 1669, pointed out experimental investigation of crystal symmetry. Now came the topic of crystal symmetry and the contribution of the chemist. Steno showed that the angles between the faces are the same in every exemplar of a particular type of crystal, and another chemist, Rune, just he 1784 discovered that every face of a crystal can be described by simple stacking patterns of blocks of the same shape and size. Hence, William Holoves Miller in 1839 was able to give each face a unique label of three angle integers, and several other chemists play a vital role. And then comes the molecule, and molecules, a single unit cell is repeated indefinitely along three principal directions that are not necessarily perpendicularly. In the 19th century, a complete catalogue of the possible symmetries of a crystal was worked by John Hessel. These are the working and as well as contribution of this chemist, and several other chemists, which was Auguste Brevis, Evergraph Fedro, and William Barlow in 1894. From the available data and physical reasoning, Barlow proposed several crystal structures in the 1880s that were validated later by X-ray crystallography, which the X-ray crystallography further explains. However, this means, however, the available data were too scarce in 1880s to accept his models as conclusive, and through several contributions, a model was a model was recognized in the ending. X-ray crystallography games. What is the arrangement of X-ray crystallography? Which is also very important in this topic. X-ray crystallography shows the arrangement of water molecules in ice, revealing the hydrogen bonds that hold the solid together. Few other methods can determine the structure of matter with much precision. This is the resolution which is discussed above. William Röntgen discovered X-rays in 1895, just as the studies of crystal symmetry were being completed. This means that as the crystal symmetry study was completed, William proposed this model, this contribution, and to show it to the others. Physicists were uncertain of the nature of X-rays, but soon suspected that they are waves of electromagnetic radiation, a form of light. This can be studied in as well as electromagnetic radiation plays a vital role in the topic of light. The Maxwell theory of electromagnetic radiation was well accepted among scientists, and experimented by Charles Glover Berkeley shows that X-rays exhibited phenomena associated with electromagnetic waves, including transfer, polarization, and several other techniques came in these topics, such as spectral lines akin to those observed in the visible wavelength. Single-slit experiments in the laboratory of Arnold Sommerfeld suggested that X-rays had a wavelength of about 1 angstrom. This is the wavelength of X-rays, which we study. X-rays are not only waves but are only photons and have particle properties. The X-rays are both plays at both role as waves as well as photons. Albert, which we study further in branches of physics such as mechanics and optics. Einstein introduced the photon concept in 1905, but it was not broadly accepted until in 1922 because it has many drawbacks. Then came the another theory when Arthur Compton confirmed it by scattering of X-rays from electrons. The particle-like properties of X-rays, such as ionization of gases, has prompted and another chemist, William Henry Bragg, to argue in 1907 that X-rays were not electromagnetic radiation. So the William Henry Bragg argue and give another theory. Bragg's view proposed unpopular, and observation of X-ray diffraction was by Max law of in 1912 confirmed for most scientists that X-rays are a form of electromagnetic radiation. At the end, the result came that X-rays are a form of electromagnetic radiation, and this was accepted.